Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you're joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, you know what to do. Make sure you also follow, subscribe on Spotify to the podcast if you like to listen instead of watch. If you got to be in the car, we appreciate everybody who comes out and supports every morning. It was a great, well, I wouldn't say great. It was a good Monday Night Football game. The LA Chargers look for real outside of people making comments about, stupid comments, by the way, about Anthony Lynn and his time in LA. I keep wanting to say San Diego, but his time as the Chargers head coach when he essentially continually got everyone hurt. Everyone was hurt every single year. And he was trying to hold it all together and still put respectable teams out there versus this team who, they're doing all right. But we're only a few games into the season. So, whoa, people. We're so quick to anoint. I'm just going to say it. We're so quick to anoint white quarterbacks and white coaches sometimes in these things, and I don't quite get it. We're so quick to anoint them, and then others have to wait. So I don't know. But what I do know is that refereeing has to get better. Refereeing must get better. There is no excuse. There's no excuse for the level of refereeing that we see going on in the National Football League and in college football. There's no excuse for it. Now, at the high school level, I almost kind of sort of get it because there's not enough referees. And why is there not enough referees? Because we don't pay them enough. If you had referees making more money, then you would have more referees. At least that's my thought process. Or you might just still have the same referees trying to hoard all the money. That's a different story. But the refereeing across the board has to be better. I was a part of a game where referees are making up calls, legitimately making them up. I watched the referee call a personal foul. Then when they marked it off wrong. We brought it up, and instead of them saying, hey, our fault, and correcting what they did, they just changed the call. Oh, no, I called the holding. No, you didn't. You did it right in front of me. I watched you do it. The same way I watched Joey Bosa get held on a play and then get called for a penalty. And I'm like, but wait a minute. He just got, you know what? Okay. I watched Lamar Jackson get hit low after the ball was thrown from the blind side. No call. And yet, referees at that level are getting paid enough money where they could just referee. Most of those referees are getting paid so much, and they still have other jobs. When you're a referee, you have to understand what you have in stake. You have to understand what, what's the gravitas of the moment. These coaches and these players are playing for their livelihood. Coaches getting fired after a year on the job, 2 years on the job. Coordinators getting let go because the offense isn't moving because of a holding call or because of a pass interference that wasn't called or a pass interference that was called. These coaches and players are living and dying on every call and no call that a referee makes. And so if you are a referee, you have to understand that this is the gravitas. This is why everything is so hypersensitive. This is why everything is so like life or death, because we know, and you should know, referees, what's at stake. If we don't get the calls and the other person gets calls, then that is an unfair advantage to them. Again, this is how we're looking at it when we think about refereeing. If you don't call anything for us, but you don't call anything for them, at least we can say it's fair. But when you look up and one team has 10 holding penalties and the other team has 1 or 2, there's no way you can tell me you're seeing 8 more holding penalties on one side of the ball than you are on the other side, when the reality is offensive linemen hold every single play. So if we know offensive linemen hold every single play, and we've got 10 holding calls on one side and 2 holding calls on the other, don't you think it might be time to even that out? If the rule is we're going to protect the quarterback, you can't just only protect the quarterbacks that don't run. You have to protect all the quarterbacks. If Lamar Jackson runs and then he runs out of bounds and he's hit out of bounds, if Jalen Hurts runs and he runs out of bounds and he's hit out of bounds, you have to call the flag. You have to throw the flag. The same way that you would throw the flag if Aaron Rodgers runs and he gets close to the out of bounds line, he's right on the out of bounds line, and he gets hit, you're going to throw the flag. Why? Because you got to protect the investment. What does that say when you don't make the calls for one, but you make the calls for another? It says that you're not looking at this thing equally. It says that you don't know what's at stake. You can't hold Joey Bosa, or you can't let a holding on Joey Bosa go and then call him for a roughing. That doesn't make any sense. Do you not value Joey Bosa, but you value the quarterback? Is that what you're saying? Did you truly not see a holding that's at the point of attack when right after the holding you call a roughing? Do you not see that? Do you want us to believe that you don't see that? Because if you want us to believe that you don't see that, then okay, but we don't believe you. You need more people. Referees, understand this. If we don't get a chance to call you out on these things, then who holds you accountable? And before you say, well, the association holds us accountable, they maybe at the NFL level they do. But you know what I never hear them come out and go? Our bad. The league office will come out and say, well, we believe that these calls are missed. No. Okay, we believe those calls are missed. What's the ramifications of those calls being missed? We believe these calls are being missed, and these people are going to miss a game because of it. Or we believe that these calls have been missed. These are critical calls. They're going to lose some money on their check. Where's the accountability that makes them get better? Oh, we're not going to put them in the playoffs. There's only so many of them that can make the playoffs anyway. So if I'm a lower tier guy that doesn't have the experience, and I know it's probably a long shot for me to make the playoffs anyway, do I care? Or do I just want to be good enough to keep getting these checks? If I just want to be good enough to keep getting these checks, then what's my motivation for getting better? If we can't call you out because you want to fine us and you want to make us feel like we're bullying a referee when we're not, we're just holding them accountable in public the same way we're held accountable in public. If we can't hold you accountable by voicing our opinions in public, and the league office isn't going to fine you for making calls that are detrimental to the win and loss of the game, then what do you have? If we don't do it, then who will? If we don't do it, then who will? Never heard a referee come out after a game. No, I'm sorry. One time in baseball, I heard the umpire come out emotional, saying that he blew the call. And you know what? Everybody was like, yo, that was the greatest thing ever. Because we saw it. We knew he was wrong. So instead of him beating his chest and trying to act as if nothing happened, he came out and owned it. And it was over just like that. He apologized. He was emotional about it. He apologized. You know why he was emotional? Because he understood. He understood what he had done. The gravity of the missed call. He understood it. He took away something that would go down in history. He understood it, and so he was emotional about it because that's not his intention. And guess what, referees? We know it's not your intention to get these calls wrong. We know it's not your intention to do the job poorly. But when you do the job poorly, there needs to be some type of there needs to be something put in place to help you do the job better, to give you more emphasis to lock in, to give you more emphasis to pay better attention. There needs to be something in place. Because if we don't hold you accountable, who will? That's all. If we don't hold you accountable, who will? NFL has a rule now where players can't taunt. Referees are using this thing to flag players for things that are not taunting. Taunting is when you get in somebody's face. You get in someone's face and you can taunting, meaning continuous, not flex, not be excited, not be. You're flagging people for this. As a referee, you should have the thought process, yo, that's not taunting. We know the difference. It's the letter of the law. It's what you do with holding. It's why you allow the offensive lineman to grab inside the breastplate. That's not holding. Keep it inside. That's not holding. Out here, that's holding. Both of them are holding, but you've used your common sense to say this offensive lineman has to be able to do something in order to stop these dudes. So you've given them that. A player who just makes a big play should be able to get up and be excited and celebrate. They should not have the right to go up, get into the other person's face, and continually go at them. But even if they got up, I saw one kid for Oregon make a big catch, got up, clapped, and threw the ball down and got a penalty. And he was in a hurry up. He literally popped up, clapped, threw the ball down, ran back into the formation, and they called him for a penalty. And man, did Mario Cristobal jump down his throat. And I ain't even mad at him because he's got to know better. I'm not mad at him for that. And the kid knew he was wrong. But what the kid did wasn't really that big a deal. He was not taunting. He was excited. He wasn't taunting. He was excited. So referees, if you have it in you to be able to understand the nuance of holding and what's pass interference and what's not, and what constitutes being downfield and what constitutes not being downfield, you should have the nuance to understand what's taunting and what's not taunting. But if we don't tell you, if we don't hold you accountable, who will? Because publicly you don't hold yourself accountable. I've never received a letter after a game when referees tell me, hey, we looked at the film, we blew a lot of those calls. We barely get any communication back when we send notification out that referees blew a call. So we can't wait on you. We can't wait on the entities that you serve because we know they need you because there's not enough of you out there at the lower levels. But we should be able to hold you accountable the same way that you hold us accountable. If not, how are we ever getting better? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me at Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. I cannot talk today for some reason. Thank you for joining me today on Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. We do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings on Spotify and other podcast platforms would be greatly appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, you know what to do. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.